Let's hope that stupid June bug does not land in my drink. I'll cover my drink. There we go. We'll cover the drink. How about that? Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to Play It Painted Live. I know it's been a while, my friends. It's been a minute since I've done a live stream. But tonight we are back doing a live stream. Why? Because we have a temporary reprieve here from some real life, and I figured, hey, let's do a live stream just to let you guys know. One, I'm still alive. Two, painting has not stopped, so still doing that. I am in a bit of a rut, but I'll explain it. It's not so much painter's block. It's actually having a logistical issue. But tonight we are doing some painting, and I know I started the stream a little earlier than was scheduled, but that's because I want to get going, and I figure anyone who's going to join is going to join, and we'll see them when we see them. Tonight, as you can see, we're painting up some Magna Guard, and they're in a kind of a crude state. We're going to help kind of get them across the finish line here. You can see they're mostly done. Their basing's in, and you know, most of the colors are blocked in, and we have started on some layering and some highlighting. So that's what we're going to work on, and yeah, we'll just take it from there. I don't know how long I'm going to be streaming for tonight, but you know, I'll be on hopefully long enough to catch a couple of you guys, say hi, and all that sort of thing. So this is what we are working on. I'm going to brighten up the eyes a little bit on these Magna Guard. They're supposed to be red. I don't even know how well you could see them here. And there's a stupid June bug that I've had. I don't know how they're getting in, but I have a June bug coming in every night. I have a different June bug that just comes in and flutters around until it dies. It just flutters around and then it's dead. And then I gotta chuck a June bug carcass in the morning. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, we're gonna start here with painting up that these eyes with a little cadmium red. And once again, we're working on the Magna Guard. And just want to get you guys caught up, specifically with what's been going on in my gaming / hobby life. What's been going on there, right? So, and as you can see, if you've been watching some of my most latest streams, I guess from a month ago, I was painting a lot of Legion, and here I am back painting a lot of Legion. And I probably painted, in the past month, I probably painted about 100 or so different Legion miniatures. About half of those were commission, and the other half had just been me building up armies and getting ready for some Legion organized play events. In fact, we just had one this previous weekend with our friend from the show, Jason, hosting at our local, and that was super fun. It was really fun. It was one of my favorite events for this year for miniature gaming. Was going to this, we'll call it a newbie Legion tournament. It was a skirmish tournament, and it was designed for new player attendance, and we got lots of new players to attend, and we just really had a good time. Jake showed up. He's been playing. He picked up Legion as well, so we've been playing some Legion. Me personally, I've been playing a lot of Legion, so that's good. But one of the things I wanted to talk about tonight was why. You know what I mean? Legion. I just passed off Legion a long time ago. I wrote off Legion, and I said, hey, you guys may have remembered that stream from like 4 or 5 years ago when Legion first came out, and I bought myself a starter set, painted it up, and we tried it here. We tried it. We tried it at my gaming table that is behind me right now, and I gave my first impressions of Legion. And back then it was just like, you know, it's better than 40K. Still a war game. Still the same old kind of walk up, see if you're in range, remove the other guy's pieces, right? Now I get it. The game has more to it than that. But I mean, that is the heart of the game, and that is the heart of most popular war games. It's all kind of the same stuff when you break it down to that level. I know people are going to get mad because it's like, oh, but my game this and my game this. Yeah, okay, that's good. This is not an attack on who you are. This is just a common criticism of the average war game. And actually, don't worry, I'm going to land this plane close to your neighborhood. So you may not hate me so much towards the end of this little spiel. Okay? So Legion was just sort of a thing. It was just sort of, oh, yeah, another war game. Congratulations, right? Nothing new there. Mechanics-wise, there isn't anything that sort of reaches across the table and slaps you in the face and says, "Hey, I'm innovative war game design." There's nothing like that in Legion. There's Legion is made up of a lot of very easy to understand concepts and a lot of accessories because it's a Fantasy Flight / AMG game now, and it's Ameritrash, right? It's got lots of components, but it's a simple game at heart, and people do the things that I typically don't like in war games, right? You obsess over what's in your list and what's in your opponent's list and how do you handle your list and what's going on with your list and what else with the list, right? And you just sort of obsess over that, and when you get on the board, you play the game to the best of your ability, but when you're talking about the game, it's always the list, right? And I hate list building, and I just, like, don't give me options on my units. Just say this unit can do these things, and that's why you buy it, and you make the decision to include that unit is a very quick one. You make that decision, and you move on with your life, and you play your game. Right? Right. Okay. So my point is, Legion was nothing. Was not anything special to me, and even now, after admitting that I enjoy Legion, I can still say that it. I play a lot of other, we'll say, a little bit more esoteric games, right? A little higher-minded games, right? Almost like a snob. It's true, right? Bushido is one of the games we play. The Batman miniature game, which I'm a huge fan of, and I'll explain why a little bit more on that later. But that's another one, right? Great game, really enjoy it. Definitely different than the walk up and attack thing, right? Walk up and attack, crush the other guy's army, and hope to hang on long enough to win the game. Yeah. And so Legion has all the hallmarks of stuff that I would say typically you hear me complaining about. And why miniature gaming is a tired hobby. And why, it doesn't feel like it's growing a whole lot towards where it could grow, right? A real big avenue for, what miniature gaming could be. Because it just boils down to this. Legion isn't all that different from MCP. It's not all that different from, a lot of other war games out there. Got a lot of the same problems. So, why do I like it? Why am I playing it? If it's just sort of there, if it's just sort of a ho-hum, oh, another miniature war game. Line up your boys and then line up my boys and roll dice, and at the end of it we see who's standing. Right? Yeah. Another one of those games. And I think one of the keys to me liking it is my boys, right? My kids. I started Legion because my son wanted one miniature. He wanted one piece, right? And he wanted a General Grievous. That was it. He wanted a General Grievous miniature. I told him, I forgot what he did. He did something really great. I think he won a student award in his school. And his reward was, we'll go to the hobby store. We'll go to our local gaming store, and you can pick any single miniature you want. And he didn't do that on purpose, I don't think, but who knows? Maybe he's just super crafty. He said, "Dad, I want General Grievous." And you cannot get General Grievous unless you buy the Star Wars 2-player starter. Star Wars Legion. So that's what I did. I bought the 2-player starter. Then I painted up the clones. I built and painted up the clones. I sold the clones to Nelson. Okay? Ended up being profitable for me to do that. Right? I didn't lose money buying my son Legion. I gained some. And he gained his army of General Grievous and a droid army. Okay? I figured, well, I painted his droid army, and he's going to want to play it. I had better build something that I want to play, right? And they said, well, Nelson and Jason play Legion. I'm not into it, but what I'll do is I'll build myself a Han Solo Rebel army that's Hoth themed, and I'll just put it away. So I put it away, and it sat in the box, fully painted, for 2 years. So 2 years go by, and we're playing all these different games. We're playing Bushido and BMG and Warcaster and Wrath of Kings and everything else you could think of. We're playing everything non-GW, but we're playing so many different games. Malifaux, right? MCP. We're playing all those different games, and this game kind of falls back under the radar because there's a new faction coming out. So our group gets a little excited about it. I figure, sure, let's break it back out. Let's play some, because I was starting to feel a little homeless. Yes, I love playing the weird smaller games that are not popular really much at all. But that can be a lonely experience if that's all you played with your buddies, and you have the very, very rare option that I have of being able to play frequently. Well, you get lots of games, but it's with the same people, and your gaming group doesn't grow because natural or organic growth of miniature gaming players, stick to GW games and most recently AMG games like MCP and like Legion, right? You might argue that there's some organic growth in some of the other smaller games, right? But that's very region specific, right? For example, we know Batman has a decent following in the Midwest, right? In places like Minnesota and maybe Illinois, who knows? But it's got a decent following out there. The game is all but dead in this area, where it's just me and my friends that play it. Malifaux used to have a very, very vibrant community here in my local. You guys know that because I was part of that. Used to have a very vibrant community for Malifaux. So, but that was not the case right across the country. It's not ubiquitous the way like Warhammer 40K is ubiquitous, right? They even call it the Warhammer hobby. They don't call it the miniature gaming hobby at Games Workshop. They call it the Warhammer hobby because that's all they want you playing is their game. And a lot of miniature gamers end up doing that. And sometimes it has to do with we'll call it their gaming habits, right? Their gaming habits and their gaming lifestyle. Because what I've come to realize is that, yeah, I have a specific taste in games, but that's based on an incredible luxury to be able to play games almost any time I want with cool people almost any time I want and jump into any number of gaming systems at will and paint armies pretty quickly. And no, they're not the best looking armies, but they're functional. You put them on the board and they look decent. And I can do that very quickly, very easily. We have, a very, very hospitable um, LGS that lets us play whatever we want to play. And they're supportive of the boutique games that we want to play. They try to bring those into the store as often as they can, right? So to break this down in terms of activity, the from my own kind of understanding, and I could be completely wrong, but I don't think I am. Um, your typical miniature gamer um, is let's say they engage in hobby and gaming because that's pretty common. So they have an army, they're building their army, they paint their army when they can. Maybe we'll call that maybe 2 to 4 touch points a month, meaning they break out their paints and they paint their army 2 to 4 times a month. And then maybe, if they're lucky, once a month, they'll try to get down to the gaming store and get a game in, right? That's your average miniature gamer, right? So at best, you're looking at about maybe 3, 4 days of hobby and then 1 day of gaming per month. And when you only have 1 day of gaming per month, the most important thing in your miniature game are the rules balanced, or is the game inexpensive, or is the game easy to play on a 3x3 or 2x2 table? Does the game feature fun and interesting interface mechanics? Those aren't your concerns when you only have a month or once a month to game at best. Your concern is pretty simple. Your concern is, do I have someone to game with? Do I have someone to play my miniature game with? That's the most important factor. Can I go to a store, buy the product I want, and find someone to game with? And with that being the most important factor for most gamers, I know some people are going to get mad and they're gonna try to explain to me, no, game balance is really no bullshit. No, it's not. It's not the most important thing to you. Quality of models, no, not even that. It's not even that. If you are gaming for gaming, yeah, of course you like models and that sort of thing. And if you're a hobbyist that maybe plays 2 or 3 times a year, yeah, you're right. I'm not gonna tell you that that's not your favorite thing and not the most important thing is the quality of the miniatures. But for the average person that wants to put their little war pieces down and pew pew and roll dice and take the other models off the board and hopefully keep as many of theirs on the board, the most important factor is, will I have people to play with? Because I'm investing hundreds, in some cases thousands of dollars into this miniature wargaming hobby. And what's the point if I don't get to engage in the miniature gaming hobby? Okay. The other thing is your average gamer might not game for months on end, maybe not even years in some cases. And if you're returning from a long stint away from gaming because you did other things with your life, or life happened to you, you're going to want your investment, those models that you bought prior to you going, we'll say, offline for several months or maybe a year or more, would be, are my miniatures that I sunk all this money and time into, are they still viable, right? Now, you can make the argument, well, GW doesn't really encourage that because they want you to buy new stuff and new codexes. They purposely creep the power upwards all the time just so that, if you want to play and not get stomped in the face for, waste your one time a month gaming, you don't want to get stomped in the face. Well, you better keep up with the Joneses and buy the latest of the latest. And we're going to charge you premium pricing to do that. And that's what keeps them in business with existing customers, with long-time existing customers. And it allows them to just kind of strategize around keeping the whale buyers around, right? Anyways, so that is the average wargamer's experience and why they won't leave these big games. Because the big games do the things, as much as they may hate a lot of the practices of, say, a Games Workshop or something like that. They may say that they hate the practices, but the bottom line is they're not going to leave these games because of the reasons I talked about. They have so much invested in it. And it might be that this is the only, for them, this is the only game in town. Okay? So that's your average miniature wargamer's experience, right? You might be looking at best, once a month, put your little toys down, and I put my toys down, and we roll dice, and we figure out who's going to win and who's going to lose. Sounds about right. And so that's your experience. And you don't have time to keep up with, a game that's constantly under errata, like Batman. You don't have time to keep up with a dynamic game like that. You want your one time a month to be fun, hopefully somewhat relaxing and engaging at the same time. You want to be able to play your game and then get excited enough to want to play again in the next month or so. Okay? And so, with the understanding that accessibility and having access to opponents is probably the most important thing for most gamers, I decided to kind of look at that objectively that way and say, okay, well, I'm going to want to have, we'll say, a common language with people for when I don't have much time to game, and to give my son some better accessibility to miniature wargaming, because that's what he wants, right? And that's why Star Wars Legion gets me a lot of those things that I was talking about. No, are these my favorite things in miniature games? No, absolutely not. But as far as a breakout once a month, twice a month, and roll dice and make explosions, fits just fine. Good budget, very simple. I'm not going to forget how to play. I might forget specific rules and certain nuances. Hey, what's up, Jose? But it's still going to fundamentally be the same game when I come back to it. And Legion is not going to disappear anytime soon. So it's another reason. So yeah, that's why this game, as much as it features so many of the same, in my opinion, sort of tired wargaming features to it, it's still an entertaining game. It's still an enjoyable game for me. So, yeah, that's a big reason why I'm playing it. Right? It's still, at the end of the day, it meets those criteria, and it can be, we'll say, my common language that we're playing. And plus, it does, from the standpoint of I would love Games Workshop to actually have decent competition, so that they're not just brutally monopolizing the industry. And it's I if you want my honest opinion, I don't really care that Games Workshop treats their customers like shit. If you want my honest opinion, I know this is probably people can get mad. I don't care that they treat their customers like shit. Okay, because their customers want that. Like their customers will continue to abide that, no matter how logically they understand that they're being screwed. They will come back and back and back and back. And like I said, yeah, it's the only gig in town for them, but there's still things that they can do. There's still, and here is a perfect example of that, right? Back in the day, the only thing that challenged Games Workshop was Privateer Press, was Warmahordes, right? Warmahordes, it was Games Workshop and Warmahordes. And um, I remember seeing Warmahordes in its prime. Warmahordes in its prime. And I don't really know enough to talk about Mark IV that's coming out, but Warmahordes in its prime sold less as an entire game system, as an entire franchise, sold less than just Space Marines for Games Workshop. Okay? So, the number 2 competitor, the main competitor for Games Workshop in the prime, Privateer Press, in their prime, did not outsell one faction for Games Workshop. And I know Space Marines is basically 40K. It is that game, so I understand what I'm saying, especially at that time. So, take that true statistic with a little bit of salt, with a little bit of salt. Now, over the years, Privateer Press has slid back. We had the surgence of some other games that come out that gain some popularity, right? Like Malifaux, Infinity. We had those games starting to come out that were popular. And then Star Wars X-Wing came out. And X-Wing, I remember this very distinctly. This must have been 2014, 2015. X-Wing became the number 2 game behind Warhammer 40K. And it was actually somewhat closer. Still GW, head and shoulders above Star Wars X-Wing, but that gave us some hope, right? That, oh wow, you can challenge Games Workshop. And what did Games Workshop do in retaliation, or in response to that, as they were starting to lose market share? What did they do, if you recall? Well, they started to bring their specialist games back, because they're like, oh, I see the value in X-Wing, because X-Wing was just buy your X-Wing, right? Rip it out of the package, put it on the board, you're playing. You're playing on a 3-foot by 3-foot table. You're running a handful of miniatures. It's a fraction of the cost, and you get a good tactical experience in an IP that many people enjoy. Okay? So that was a glimmer of hope that, like, oh wow, somebody, if with just the right amount of pushing and the right amount of cultivating, could actually provide real competition to GW and give the marketplace a real opportunity to diversify. Okay? So what I'm getting at here is, it's fine that GW exists. That's not my issue. My issue is, if only GW existed. Okay, and that's a real legitimate fear for many years. Because when I started this hobby, it was the only game in town. Really, literally, it was the only game in town. And I would never, ever want to have to go back to that world again. So That's why I do support these companies that actually have a legitimate chance to challenge them in the marketplace. But like I said, even when X-Wing did it, GW turned around and they started doing good things for their customers. They started re-releasing their specialist games because they know that those are more convenient and those will make their larger customer base happy. And it worked. And they took Blood Bowl back. And there was nary a complaint. I know, I was pretty pissed about it personally. I loved Blood Bowl when it was community driven. I hate the new edition of Blood Bowl. It feels awful. But overwhelmingly, the player base was like, they were just happy. They're like beaten dogs, right? They were happy their owner finally patted their head after whipping them for years and years and years, right? GW is like the abusive master to a lot of gamers. So, once again, I'm not saying this stuff because I want justice for the gamers. No, I don't give a shit about the gamers. They've dug their own grave. It's not about that. It's about keeping healthy competition in the miniature gaming industry and allowing some of these other games to survive. Now, you might say, okay, well, yeah, but isn't that a little unnatural? Shouldn't you just let the marketplace decide? You're a capitalist. Wouldn't you just let the marketplace decide who should be allowed to sell and what products? Like, I guess in theory, sure, why not? But it's not about free market for me. It's about I don't want to have monotony in the hobby, because if the hobby was ever returns back to just Warhammer 40K, then I'm out. It's not going to be a hobby for now. There's no chance of that happening ever again now, because there is a thriving kind of outside market for miniature gaming and for board gaming and role playing, such that I don't really need to worry about that anymore. But it's kind of like the video games. If you recall, video games in the 80s and 90s, the incredible variety of video games we had access to. And then as you push into late 90s, early 2000, what starts to happen in video games? Well, really, two major platforms or styles of video game start to really dominate, right? We're talking two-player fighter games, right? The 1v1 fighting games like Street Fighter 2, like Mortal Kombat, like Tekken. Those start to really take prominence. But what really takes prominence is the first-person shooter genre, right? So Doom and Counter-Strike and all of that kind of stuff. That's what really starts to take off. And if you remember, during that time, all of the games were just starting to all be one of those two major popular platforms. And that's really when I stopped playing video games. Because it was like, well, I mean, it's either shoot game or punch game. That's it. That's all they had for the longest time. You could play MMOs and that sort of thing, and that was okay. But before the MMO really got popular, that's how I moved over to Ultima Online. What was that? I jumped in, I want to say, when did I get into Ultima Online? It was like after college for me. So I want to say it was 98 or something like that. 98, no, probably 99. 1999 I jumped into Ultima Online. I think so. So, but you get my point. I didn't want it, with the diversity in gaming platforms dwindling down to first-person shooters and fighter games and that sort of thing. I got out. I got out of playing big title games because it was like so boring. And I don't want to do that on the miniature game side, which is why I have to support any credible threat to Games Workshop. I could never really get behind X-Wing mainly because that's my personal bias against pre-painted minis. And what that does is it kind of just throws people directly into the gaming side only in the X-Wing community. So it never, it just couldn't click with me. It just could not really consider that a thing. So, but here we are. We've got Star Wars Legion. And is it like 40K? Kind of. It's got some 40K feeling stuff to it. It's a popular war game. And now it's starting to explode. This game really starting to grow some legs, and it's got some actual muscle behind it. It's got an incredibly popular IP. Now here's the difference, and here's what I wanted to point out with Star Wars Legion, that to compete against Games Workshop, I don't think the healthy route is just to cannibalize the customer base. I don't think so. I don't think that's it. If you're driving Star Wars Legion, I don't think that's a good idea, right? These wargamers their major money is spent. They're set. They're gonna continue playing GW, and they're gonna just kind of ride that train. And you've got some Legion people, and they're cool, and they're gonna be with you, and they're gonna be the ones that may help you kind of grow your community after that. But if you look at Star Wars Legion, your opportunity could really be outside organic growth, right? You could rope in the normies. Heaven forbid. This could be the gateway drug. Like I used to say that X-Wing could really be the gateway drug. And it looked like it was well on its way to being. It was the number 2 game behind Games Workshop. So it could have almost been, right, the perfect gateway drug, the entryway into this hobby. Because I think, for my personal opinion, is I would want to see some growth of the miniature gaming hobby as in terms of crossover growth. I don't want it to show up on like daytime TV or anything like that. But if the people who are playing a lot of board games and a lot of D&D, for example, were to start to look into miniature gaming, and Star Wars Legion was their entry point, their drug of choice, I'd be pretty happy with that. That would be pretty cool. And they would have an untapped market, unlike GW, GW's plan is really to kind of please their whale buyers, and just, their big time buyers, just kind of please that crowd because they know that's guaranteed money. But it's almost no growth if that's all you did, right? And I don't think it would behoove Atomic Mass to try to cannibalize that. I think their money has yet to be captured, their real money for Atomic Mass. For people coming in and they're like, oh, I like superheroes. I love the last Marvel movies. What do you mean I could paint and collect miniature versions of my favorite superheroes and walk them across the board and actually have some fights between, Venom and Carnage, and put a team of Asgardians together and see what they can do, right? Put Deadpool on the board as with an X-Force squad. You could do that in MCP. MCP has real legs, but MCP also is kind of they're kind of really leaning into, as far as the existing miniature gamers are concerned, they're leaning into that. Oh, I already did that one. Wow. They're leaning into existing miniature gamers, and they're building a competitive scene. And yes, you need that, and that's not a bad thing, but you can't just give up there. That can't be your end all to say, okay, well, we've got a good tournament circuit, going for MCP or for Legion. I think they have to try to find the real organic customers, the organic growth from people naturally being attracted to these IPs and understanding a simple to learn miniature war game that features a collectability aspect to it. And gives them a, oh, painted a little too much white there, but gives them a real hobby, I should say, right? Gives you painting, gaming, the whole nine. So, yeah. So Legion has all that stuff. And normally I would say that I wouldn't like any of that. But I'm happy to help push this competition, right? I think GW has already considered this, which is why the newest kill team actually uses some modern miniature wargaming concepts, whereas GW just couldn't be bothered with newer concepts like alternate activations and that sort of stuff. So yeah. Anyway, that's just some of my thoughts for tonight. Right? Legion is not my favorite game, but it's pretty fun. And once you accept it for what it is, there's just a kind of a simplified war game that is, designed for people who really enjoy the IP, then it's decent. And I've been having a lot of fun, kind of just playing the skirmish lists, even with the understanding of, well, no matter what scenario we pick, no matter what victory conditions we pick, it is ultimately still who gets to dick stomp the other guy faster, and then sit there and collect the points at the end. There's no real deep strategy to that. It just is what it is. Right? So a little surprised by Legion. And then now I'm going to do something else that you probably would not expect. And I'm going to talk a little bit. I'm going to criticize Bushido, one of my favorite games, just a little bit. Because I was a little surprised by a certain aspect of the game that I just didn't think felt right or true. Okay? And it's this, right? Bushido is a fun, thematic, kind of a deeper game, pretty crunchy, right? Not quite as much as Malifaux crunchy, but still pretty crunchy, complex game, and there's a lot of richness to the scenarios, or at least there's 12 scenarios, and they want you to they want to give you the feel that you really are playing directly towards your scenarios to win games. I think that's not as true as they would hope it is, having played several games of Bushido at this point. And it comes down to, for me, it comes down to a pretty simple flaw in the design, as I see it. Again, as I see it, just me, regular dude on the internet talking trash about a subject that he really honestly doesn't know a whole lot about, right? So I would think, at least in theory, that when you're playing Bushido, you're moving your pieces around, you're doing your key feats, and you're gaining position on a very small 2x2 tight board, that you're playing for really, tactical supremacy. You're playing and you're improvising as you go. But you're building your plan of attack, and that plan can be pretty complex based on all of the rules that they have baked into every single model. Right? Still with me? Okay. I don't know if you are or not, but we're still going. So we like to think that Bushido is a very crunchy, complex game that really forces you to play to the strategy. Here's the only problem with that, and it's really just one problem. The only problem with that is something that I've ranted on this stream many times about before, and that is, my friends, opposed dice rolls and just how swingy they can make a game. Right? Opposed dice rolls. Can't stand them in Infinity. I I can Crunchy. Hey, what's up, Atomico? I can't stand that mechanic in Infinity. I thought it was kind of trashy in Frostgrave. I didn't really like it. Even in Aristea, I think that's one of the better versions of face-to-face rolls, but didn't really like it that much. Just not a fan of the face-to-face roll. MCP has a face-to-face roll for attack and defense. Still don't really like it. Because it allows a little too much randomization in outcome. And Bushido tries to address that with their normalization of the combat roll and the damage roll. Now, the only thing I don't like that I like less than face-to-face rolls is damage rolls. I think damage rolls are terrible. Damage rolls, wound rolls. If you win a combat, I do not want to have to rely on the RNG again to tell me how much or how little damage has been dealt as a result of a face-to-face exchange. It just adds greater variability to the game without really adding any good meaningful depth. Just another step. So, anyways, Bushido, as complex and cool and thinky and high-minded as that game is, hey, what's up? Dread, man. We got Dread and Atomico in here, two of the most creative dudes I know that I respect in their respective areas. What's up, guys? It's like we're the older guys. It's like old. Yeah, it's fine. I'll call us out. We're the older gamer guys. We don't give a shit, right? Anyway, let me finish my point real quick, and then I will show you something cool. I promise. As high-minded as Bushido is, let's just boil it down and call it out. That face-to-face roll with a randomized damage roll is one of the most crucial and probably the most terrible thing to exist in that game. I absolutely love Bushido. Would recommend it to anybody. Beautiful game, amazing miniatures. The theme is one of the best ever in a miniature game. Please go out and buy Bushido and support GCT because it's just an awesome system, awesome game. Miniatures are beautiful. I don't know if you guys have seen my my Geisha crew or my sumo guys. The game is cool. All right, let's put away these guys, these Magna Guard for a minute here. Put away some Star Wars stuff. We're putting it away for just a second. And I think Jose was in this stream earlier because I want to show you guys something cool. I'm gonna get all these boys off the table. All right, so our boy Jose was in the Philippines for several weeks, right? The PI, as we like to call it. And he came back bearing gifts. And he brought me one of these to try out. And I'm going to show it to you guys right now. I may have to actually back the camera up a little bit. So excuse me while I'm going to tilt this up. Everybody's got to move up a little bit so we can see this. Okay, I think that might be enough area there. Let's recenter this. All right, Jose's still here. All right, I'm going to show this off, Jose, because I think it's super cool. So he was in the PI, and I don't know, I think it was your cousin or whatever that has their own company that's making gaming accessories. Adventure awaits. I'm going to say it with a Filipino accent. Can't stop me. Adventure awaits. All right. So this is called Alamat Gaming. Is the name of this company. So, that's their Instagram. I'm gonna go check it out because I need to do that. And they make high-end gaming accessories. Now they're a little more geared for like D&D, right? Because the D&D, those guys always get that the snooty accessories. But you know me, I like to low-key flex when I'm playing miniature games. So I do like high-end gaming accessories, right? When I'm playing Star Wars Legion, I gotta have the clay poker chips. I can't use those cardboard tokens. I gotta have acrylic tokens. I gotta have the fanciest dice. I have the fanciest. This is absolutely beautiful, handcrafted Acacia dice case. Now I can't open this on camera because the magnets are so strong. Maybe I can if I can get my nail under here without damaging. Whoa! The magnets are so strong on this bad boy that it can be hard to open. Maybe it's a complaint and a benefit at the same time. I think the ladies may actually have, if I'm being sexist, I know. Go ahead and report me to Susan. She can ban me for being sexist. We'll say I don't know. We'll say if you have lower hand strength, yeah, if you're one of the people with lower hand strength, you might have a little bit of difficulty opening this case, but you can see kind of how baller this is. I populated it with my own dice, but Alamat Gaming has their own little symbol, and they have these really pretty mother of pearl dice. I don't know if the camera's picking up that iridescent effect on there. Suede interior, thanks Jose. But you can see there, right? You gotta have play it painted dice. Also, hell, while we're at it, did you know? Did you notice? There is a new. This does actually. It's too reflective on camera. The white. Ugh. Gotta come it this way. But you can see. Here's the new Play It Painted logo dice. Pretty sexy, boys. And you know I gotta have Wu-Tang dice. I gotta have Wu-Tang. Yeah, you could fit a few smokes in here if you want. You know, you could put a not a full length cigar in here if you wanted. Not a Churchill, but you could put a smaller cigar in there if you wanted. But yeah, if you wanted to just put a few smokes in here, you could do that. Yeah, Play It Painted. So if you are attending my events in the future, you might get yourself some of these nice Play It Painted dice. You can see I've been populating it with the big dice and the small dice because small dice are also very useful. You've also over here, let me flip this over real quick. £50 pressure. You can see there's this little area here for rolling, which is super cool. But you could also, stick your odd, you could also stick tokens in here, your other species of dice you could have in there, right? If you're a true RPGer, although you got plenty on this side to do that. You can see I'm popping all these regular dice in here. You might use these for counters for Batman, that sort of thing. But yeah, you can put tokens, you can put all kinds of other stuff in here. And then and then you get the other side, the lid, which is your nice rolling surface in here. And actually, this is where I've been kind of practicing, right? Because I always use, these days I always use a dice rolling tray whenever I'm playing games. It just feels better. It keeps it all together. When I'm playing in tournaments and that sort of thing, I explain to my opponent, if it bounces out, it does not count. I come back and roll it. That way there's no arguments about what the actual result is, right? So this part is super nice. I almost never roll ones on these, but here we go. Let's see. Rolling on camera, checking out the dice here. Oh, there you go. Well, there's a 6 and a 1. Um, but that's actually quite nice, right? This is actually really great. It was one of my favorite parts. Um, is you get this really nice suede dice tray here. But what you could do, right? Let's say we're playing Bushido. Bushido, you have to allocate dice for attack and defense. And what you could literally do is say, okay, I've got 3 combat dice, and I'm going to roll 2 attack dice and 1 defense dice. And you could roll them right into different trays, and then it becomes easier to trash Octave with his trash dice rolling skills. Right? But you can keep those nice and separate if you want. You can even say, I'm going to roll all my stuff here, and if you could say, you could offer this little apartment to your opponent and say, hey, you can roll in there if you want, just don't touch my dice, cheating bastard. But yeah, anyways, check out Alamat Games if you want to have, some high-end gaming accessories. And no, they didn't pay me. Jose didn't even ask me to do this, but I wanted to show it off because it's super cool. And yeah, we're testing it out, and so far I really like it. I I kind of see this configuration for like most of my games, my D6 games, but I could also very easily put all my Legion um, dice in here and use it for Legion, right? And you can, if you're doing something like Legion, for example, you could say, okay, I'm going to roll all my original dice in here. If I have a token for aim or surge or anything like that, I'm going to roll all my aim rerolls and that sort of thing in here. So, super cool. Just wanted to show it off. Just fun stuff, man. Fun stuff. And look at that. I love this, like the hand carved feel. Um, and this is Acacia Wood. And Acacia Wood's a nice. I don't know how familiar you are with Acacia Wood, but it's a nice exotic wood. It's got a little bit of an oily feel to it. Super hard wood, and I think the concern, I think from Alamat Games is they wanted to know how would Acacia Wood um, stand up in a hot, dry environment, right? Like California. Now it's not that hot, not that dry in Orange County, but it's compared to the Philippines, it certainly is. So, uh, so yeah, that's what we're looking at. But yeah, you could see, right, even the workmanship here on the inside. I I don't know if you guys can, if some of you, I'm sure some of you guys really appreciate good woodworking. But this is great stuff. And you can find, it's one of the cool things about the Philippines actually is you can find some really absolutely beautiful hand-carved wood items in the Philippines. Hand-carved wood furniture is fantastic. Everybody knows Philippine teak is some of the most beautiful wood to be working with. Acacia is absolutely gorgeous. Um, and then, I think Jose, you were telling there's a walnut version, which is interesting, right? Does that have to get imported? Do they import the walnut and then work it? Because I know, if you're working with like acacia or zebra wood or teak, you can get that from the Philippines. But yeah, this is some pretty baller level shit, man. You know. Yeah, Dread. This is totally handmade, and it's just gorgeous. And yeah, these magnets are way strong. These look like the 3x6. Oh no, they're much bigger than 3x6 millimeter magnets. Right? These magnets are too big for your miniatures even. But yeah, this is probably these are 4 millimeter diameter magnets. I don't know how deep they are, but they're super strong. I wonder if yeah, you could totally feel how strong that is, right? That's pretty crazy. Um, but yeah, anyway, super cool. Thought I would show it to you guys just to, uh, you know, kind of give a shout out to Alamat Games. Interested in seeing what else they come out with too, because I don't know. I love gaming accessories. Also, you gotta head to work. All right, man. Have a good one. Thanks for popping in, dude. Good seeing you. So there's stuff like that. Uh, Also for Star Wars Legion, what's really cool is I'll put the Magna Guards back on for a minute. Yeah, they're these are for my kid's army. Um, his army is too big. Okay, here's where I think I mentioned this at the beginning of the stream. I'm in a rut painting wise, and it has nothing to do with painter's block. I don't have painter's block. I'm actually hungry to paint more stuff. So I don't know. For the local guys, if you guys want a commission done, hit me up. I'm totally open for stuff like that. But the issue with painting my own stuff or my son's stuff is I am pretty much out of miniature storage space at this point. So when I finish these guys, they will not fit in the same storage case I have for my son's other stuff. That's a problem. They can't just live on these stands forever until I find them a spot. I'm gonna have to find them a spot pretty quickly here. So I'll work on figuring that out. But it's a pretty terrible problem to have, especially for somebody like me. I like to paint very often, and that ain't working. I'm gonna have to find another spot to store miniatures, and then I can go back to painting other stuff which I like. Speaking of which, here's a third-party printed mini that Jake got for me. So I think he got this off Etsy. Hey, what's up, Shadowcat? Because I was playing R2-D2 for my Rebels, who I absolutely love. Well, it's probably my favorite thing in all of Legion is playing Secret Mission with R2-D2. So much fun. Highly recommend. And I like to talk a lot of trash about Star Wars while I'm playing. But I really love R2 and that whole Secret Mission mechanic. And I love that he has counterpart C-3PO, who can just get his ass blown up just to distract the opponent long enough for other people to get away. I absolutely love that. I think it's so cool. And there's just such a fun mechanic. And so, I was talking to Jake the other night, and I was like, man, the one thing that would be super cool is if you had a version of 3PO that's really just the blown to bits version, and he's got Chewie lugging him around, right, from Empire, right, the Cloud City, basically the Cloud City 3PO. I think that would be awesome. And what's cool about this mini is you could field it as Chewbacca. Most people would consider this a Chewbacca mini, but I would argue too that you could also say this is a 3PO miniature, right? So I'm planning on fielding it and just saying when I field it, I have to declare to the opponent, okay, this is my 3PO or this is my Chewie, right? I do, in fairness though, if I'm across the table from this, I'm thinking it's Chewie all the way. Now, I think, personally, you could add 10 points to it, or maybe even just 8 points to the standard Chewie card, and just give him calculate odds, right? Just treat broken 3PO. Yeah, the bowcaster is tiny, isn't it? And he's not really holding it right. But I don't care. This is what I wanted. This is the piece. It was the broken 3PO, which is so cool. But here's my argument. I think it would be cool if AMG had this version of Chewie that gets calculate odds because it's got 3PO and it has the distract mechanic. I think that would be amazing. I don't think it would break the game any because you're just paying for an upgrade on Chewie. But I think that would be super cool. He's got it's like a it's all this is almost like a hand crossbow or a standard size crossbow, not like the full on bowcaster. Um, but he's doing that Chewie, he's doing that Wookiee yell, which I love. Oh! I can't do it right. I'm too tired. I can't. I'm too tired. Can't do it. But yeah, the escape pod, Shadowcat. Yeah. So I've been playing. We played in a Legion skirmish tournament last weekend, and I'm new to Legion. I'm actually new to playing the game. But we can go over. In fact, since I'm really kind of done painting for the night, we'll go over what I played and how I did, right? Because I wanted to play something fun. I was playing a lot of skirmish games prior to this event and came to the conclusion that Darth Vader is disgusting in skirmish. He's just so good and so hard to stop. I was playing an Empire list that had Vader and a dewback, and that was just wrecking people left and right. And I'm like, okay, we're gonna play in this new player event. I probably shouldn't run that, and I wanted to run some Rebels, right? So what I landed on was I got the fancy leader Luke, as you guys know from the last one. Look at that, fresh off his car accident. Does that mean? It's a little mean, right? Anyway, I've got the fancy special edition Luke, as Nelson helped me find on eBay, but not in that manner. That's a whole other story. So I ran fancy Luke. I ran one squad of Tauntauns, right? Super cool. Tauntaun's so good. I ran a squad of fleet troopers, and I love fleet troopers. I love hallway boys. They go in the hallway and then they die horrible deaths. Oh, Fancy Luke. Okay, really quick. The story on Fancy Luke is I paid $50 for Fancy Luke on eBay. Most places or most of the eBay sales for him are like 100 or more. So if you can find him for under 100, go for it. He's a great miniature. You can swap the head to like you can have like the helmet with the blast shield down, or just him in the helmet. Super cool mini. Anyway, you could also have the blaster out here. I thought about magnetizing all those options, and I was like, nah, I'm not gonna. I just like that. So anyway, I love these guys. They are hit or miss. I love them so much, in fact, that I recently painted a second squad of hallway boys, and I went with. You can see this is the classic outfit for hallway boys, and I did some converting on the squad leader to make Captain Antilles. So here's Captain Antilles, my crappy conversion, but yeah, it works. And what's cool about this conversion is it's still the official mini, and I can say, okay, this is my officer upgrade. So if I'm running 2 squads of hallway boys and I want an officer upgrade, I can do that, right? But anyways, for the tournament, I ran Special Luke, I ran unit of Tauntauns, a hallway boy unit, then I also fielded one squad of veterans. So you can see these are my Han Solo themed veterans. They have the blue coat that's a joke. One unit of veterans, and if you're taking veterans, you absolutely should field as many medium blaster troops as you can. So it was one unit of veterans, one unit no wait, was it? Yeah, one unit of veterans, one unit of blasters, or one blaster. And then I fielded R2 and 3PO, right? And the 3PO upgrade there. Super fun. Super fun list. If you want to try that in skirmish, and you want to run the same list I ran, let me know. I can post the exact list for you. It is 500 exactly, so you're not winning any bids with it, but so much fun. So anyways, so played first game against Shadow Collective and lost that game, but I did get my secret mission off with 3PO, and that was enough. I called it still a spiritual win for me. Why is there this Wookiee up here? He should not even be up here, but where's Chewie? Hold on. So first game of the tournament, I lost. Here's the regular Chewie. You can see too that Chewie is a lot smaller, right? He's way smaller than just your regular Chewbacca. Anyway, first game, loss, but super fun anyway. Second game, I played against Jake, and Jake was fielding Republic. So he had his Wookiee-themed army. So 2 units of Wookiees led by Chewbacca, and it was one of the most fun games of Legion I've ever played. Because it's with Jake, right? It's always going to be good. Very fun game. I blew up a Wookiee with R2, but then Chewie got revenge and killed R2 the end of that game. Ended up holding on to win that game. And then my third game, I played against Jason, and that was Rebels versus Rebels, and he was running Princess Leia gunline list against this list, and I ended up winning that game as well. So not bad. Finished the day 2-1. And the Shadow Collective player ended up being the winner. That was Chris. He ended up winning the tournament. So I don't feel so bad. Finished 4th overall, I think, just due to points. But yeah, super fun. Legion is just Legion and MCP are just gonna be my go-to kind of mainstream games. Here's boring out of the package, Luke. You have clone troopers. So also, I accidentally built myself a clone trooper army out of 2 starter box sets. So I have 4 units of phase 1s. I'll show you a couple of them. They actually don't look that great, but I painted them pretty quickly. I figured I just wanted to. It's like, well, we're in this deep. Might as well have army number 4. So yeah, I got 4 armies for Legion all of a sudden. But let me see here. Move some stuff. So I have my other guys in magnetic storage. But here are some of my clones. Right? So my clones are 2/12 because I was going for Obi-Wan's team. Right? This is basically Obi-Wan's Legion. So 2/12. And I found out that Commander Cody is going to be a thing pretty soon. And then, right, so I got 4 units of clones. They're all in the white and orange. I have 2 of these bark speeders, right, because it's just 2 starter boxes. So I know I haven't been streaming, guys. I haven't been streaming, but the painting is still fast and furious, right? So still plenty of that. Oh, nice. So, okay. Then you got Obi-Wan, obviously. My wife, she was one of the reasons why I was like, well, I'll just go ahead and paint all this stuff because she's like, I love Ewan McGregor. I'm like, what? He looks exactly like me. We're just dead ringers. We're twin brothers. That's why you think I'm hot, because we look just like this. Anyway, so we got Obi-Wan, and then I had to add a worst partner, right? The likeness on this miniature is somewhat impressive. I get kind of a cross-eyed Natalie Portman, but it actually does look pretty good. The likeness is pretty good. She could also get Secret Mission, which is really cool. So I might have to try out. I mean, it's just an army. Sadly, this is just going to be an army that kind of sits around for the most part. But I'll slowly build it. I'll slowly add to it because it's fun. Whatever, right? So I just wanted to show you some of my Legion stuff. I don't know that you guys ever saw some of my son's stuff, but his droid army it's huge actually, because it's 2 starters, and I just added a bunch of stuff to it that he likes. Oh, you're using Ben and Mando armor. Awesome. Right. So this is what my son's droids look like. So it's Vallejo color shift. And they're super cool. Very easy to do this, but the effect is really neat. And then, so I have 2 units that like look super, super brand new. And then they kind of have like the trashier, right? Here's like one of the trashier units for the droids. My son loves Grievous. Again, this was the reason why we started all this, was he wanted a Grievous, but he wanted different styles of Grievous. So I'm working on getting a second one together for him. But that one will probably look more like the traditional Grievous. We've got a Maul. Of course, my son likes Darth Maul. And you got to have a spider droid, right? So my son has a pretty big, pretty respectable droid army. He took my Bosk. You can see that's my basing, right? That's the basing scheme for my Empire army. But he took Bosk from me because he loves Bosk, and who doesn't love Bosk? Bosk is amazing. If you're playing these days, if you're playing Empire or Separatists, Bosk is so good for his points. He's so good. I am personally leaning towards Boba. I like running Boba Fett more. Not because I don't think he's better than Bosk. Point for point, I think Bosk is just way too efficient. But I think Boba plays more fun because you get that mobility and that short range shooting. It's just more exciting to play like a Boba Fett as opposed to Bosk, right? The next. So there's going to be another Legion event on the 27th of this month. So I'm hoping, Jose, if you want to go, I can spot you an army. I got many, my guy. What I might run on the 27th, I might have to run my boy. I might Emperor in 500 points. It's hilarious. It would be so bad. It's kind of a terrible list, but it's Emperor, 2 Royal Guards, and two units of Snow Troopers. But it does nothing. It's not a good list at all. If you want to play a really good, fun Empire list for skirmish, anything with Vader is going to be good, if I'm being honest with you. But one of my favorites is, let's see if I can get him without breaking him. It's kind of tricky right now the way he is. Here we go. One of my favorites is gonna be this combo, right? General Veers with Boba Fett is so good. It's so much fun. So it's General Veers. The way I run it, it's General Veers, Boba Fett. I think it's 3 units of snows, and I think it's got a dewback in it. Got to have a dewback. Super good, super fun, short range, um, lots of suppression in the army, and it's pretty impressive. Let me see if I can get my dewback out to show you guys. Ugh. So you can see I've been painting a lot, but if you follow me on Instagram, that kind of stuff, you're probably not seeing most of this stuff because I've been too lazy to photograph it and show you. But here's my ice dewback, right? Cold lizard. I love this thing. I love this dewback. He's my boy. Like when I played in my first tournament, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing, I was getting wrecked every game, but the dewback was just consistently holding his own and just beating the crap out of people. And he's just so good for his points. He's real sturdy. He's got good attacks. And he just does the job of being an angry animal extremely well. So, just sharing with you guys some Legion stuff. It is my favorite part of the game is the collecting hobby side. The game is pretty fun, but I can see if I just played like, serious Legion and I tried to play full games all the time and that kind of stuff, that would get boring for me super quick. But I love playing skirmish. I like mixing up the lists a lot, and then just fielding what I think is fun. I do also. Here's the other thing, Jose. I'm going to tempt you even more, my guy. I got myself a set of this Clan Ren that I have not touched yet, but I would be very happy to paint these, put them together, and you could run them as option with your Sabine. I was actually That's where when we were in the store together, that's why I was looking for Sabine, because I'm like, well, I'll run it. I wouldn't run it with my regular Rebel army, but I could see myself running like a Sabine contingent at some point with a bunch of Mandos and doing the air horn. That's super funny to me. So that would be cool. I'll mess around with some Sabine builds, but yeah, it's probably the next thing that I would be looking to build would be a Mando team like that. So, anyways, yeah, that's probably enough painting and hanging for one night. Just wanted to put together a stream real quick for you guys because it's been a long time. I know it's been a few weeks since I was able to put together a stream. And the reason why I haven't been doing that, full honesty here, is because it's like towards the end of my kids' summer break and my wife's summer break. And we're just having so much fun doing stuff in the evening that it's hard for me to tear away and put together a stream and all that kind of thing. Like I'll still be here painting, but we'll be watching TV together. We've been watching, my wife and I have been watching a lot of Peaky Blinders. So we've been watching Peaky Blinders, that kind of thing. But yeah, that's what's been going on in the evenings. So I will continue to try to stream when I can. But for what it's worth, I'm really enjoying my time in the evenings with my family. So I hope you guys understand. That's where I'm at and what I'm doing. I'm still painting. I will try to post more of my miniatures on Instagram. So at least, if you're following me there, you can keep an eye on what I'm painting, what I'm working on. So, all right. So with that, I think we're going to call our stream to a close here. thanks everyone for tuning in. And yeah, I'll try to make it a habit to pop on when I can and do some painting with you guys. So thanks everyone for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. Good night.